Okay, saxophone players, welcome to this video. Today, we're going to talk about an alternative way to practice sound instead of just doing long tones. Okay, so obviously, yeah, long tones are important. You should be doing them. Like, this video is not telling you not to do long tones, but this video is more saying don't let long tones be your only way of practicing sound. So what do I mean by this? Well, let me tell you a little personal story. When I was younger, I used to practice a lot of long tones. Like, I would do long tones for 30, 45 minutes sometimes. I remember there was one day when I was in college, I think I practiced 45 minutes of long tones, and half of that was just playing like the palm keys. I mean, I was like really determined to make those notes sound good, but there was something that I was missing, and I didn't realize this until later. Because what would happen is I would listen to myself play, I would hear a recording of me playing a tune, either something that I made on my phone or a recording from a concert, and I didn't like the way I sounded. Like, my tone was bad. Like, I didn't have, the fullness in the low register and the fullness of the high register that I wanted. My high notes were thin and squeaky and out of tune, and my low notes just were, non-existent. They were just airy and puffy, and I didn't even play down there that much. Oh my God. The cats just ran by. That's crazy. Eventually, I started thinking differently about the way I practice sound, and once I started doing that, it kind of helped me develop the tone that I want, basically. I mean, I went from not sounding good to sounding the way I want very quickly. One of those things I've talked about before had to do with how I was blowing, like how much air I was using and how I was like trying to direct the air. But this video is a little bit more about some practical stuff. I want to talk about practical things you can do. So I'm just assuming that you're already blowing right, you're already using a lot of air, and you already are using a nice relaxed embouchure, which is the way I think you should play. A lot of air and a loose embouchure so that you can get a nice full saxophone sound, especially on this horn on the tenor saxophone. So one thing I started doing, especially as I started to advance a little bit more, is treating my technical exercises and my technical practicing like it was a sound exercise. Let me demonstrate, for example. So what I would do is I would take a scale. Maybe, let's say I'm going to play my dominant 7 bebop scale. Today I'm going to play my concert D, or E on tenor bebop scale. And what I would do is basically play the scale going down and then back up, because I like to practice the scales going down. I would play the scale down and then back up. And what I would do is try to play the scale as long as I could in one breath, the same way you would if you were just holding one note. So I might do something like this. So I'm going to do 16th notes at this tempo. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use 4 whole beats to breathe before I do it. 1, 2, ready, breathe. So basically what I was doing there is I was just playing the scale up and down, and every time I had to breathe, I tried not to stop my fingers from moving. I wanted to keep, it was almost like I was dividing my brain in half between the part that is automatic, which is the fingers. I wanted my fingers to be automatic and just moving independently of whether I was breathing or not. So when I had to take a breath, I kept my fingers moving. I took a deep breath and I tried to play as soon as I could get back to the next note. And this is something I would do, and you can make the speed faster. You can go even faster if you wanted to. You could do something like this kind of tempo. Basically, might be a little bit of unevenness in my fingers, but because the fingers are moving on their own, I can actually direct my consciousness basically to focus on those little tiny bits of unevenness or space, while I also focus on keeping my breathing strong. Basically, it allows you to kind of mentally multitask when you're practicing, and this to me really helped make playing a lot easier and keeping my sound when I was playing a lot easier, basically. Then, after you do that, like once you play some scales, get into a tune, play a tune, and try not to think about anything. Try to just improvise. You can practice the improvisation, later. Just practice playing and keeping your sound full the whole time. So I might play, You Stepped Out of a Dream. Now, were there some lines there that I played just now that I was unhappy with? Yes, definitely. That was not a perfect solo, but the key was not really to play the perfect lines. It was to keep my sound consistent throughout. So no matter what register I was playing in, I could still play at a full volume and play all of these melodic things that I want to play. So then, once you've done this all kind of as a pretext to warming up, like say, okay, warm up the sound, warm up the fingers, and then warm up the mind by playing a tune, then you can actually get into practicing. And when you're practicing something and you're really focused on, let's say, maybe you're just practicing one sequence of chords or one triad pair or one pentatonic pattern, you can do the same thing. You can play that pattern over and over and also still be thinking about your sound. Keeping the sound at the forefront of your practicing, I think, is really important. I think it's the most important thing you can do when you're practicing, because sound is everything. The first thing that somebody hears about you when you play is how you sound. They don't care if you can play all the licks and all of the patterns and all of the stuff. They care if you sound good, and that's really true. When people tell me what they like about my playing, they don't tell me about like, oh, I really like how you played this substitution on this dominant in the alto and you went to the melodic. No, man. They say, Banks, I love the way you sound. And that's the highest compliment, because that's the only thing that matters. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope it helped. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more of these. If you're interested in taking saxophone lessons from me, I am opening up my online studio, so you can send me an email or hit me up on Instagram if you're interested. I'd love to have you as my student. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.